Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, This show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like some days, the kid's running a little late. I have got TJ here with me. RJ should be here briefly. He runs a little late on Thursdays, but should be here. Hopefully, he did his homework, said that he was going to. We'll hold him to his word and see. That being said, how the fuck you doing, TJ?
And we'll see. If he was like me and had other crazy shit come up, I get it. So, no, I'm here. Life is not quite as crazy as it was last week, so we're definitely moving in the right direction. Well, there's some fucking crazy fuckery afoot this week, though.
Oh boy, do we ever. I will say, the good thing about all the crazy shit we are about to get into for this week, and that has happened since last week, is the mise en place, if you will, for next weekend's actual big card of the month, live from Abu Dhabi. But we will get into that card next week. That being said, like we like to do around here, I want to start off with a little bit of a recap here. Now, I do have to say, starting off on a recap, I do want to insert here a little asterisk correction. I completely skipped half a page of fucking notes that I wrote down for last week because I had them on the back of a sheet. For some reason, I went the wrong direction in a notebook and literally turned and missed a half a page worth of notes. Also, in doing so, forgot to talk about the bullshit BKFC Montana card that was last weekend and the Submission Underground card that was last weekend, where Mason Fowler once again defended his Submission Underground Ultimate belt with very little trouble, this time against Zangief. Checo gave him a good match, but Fowler is it in Submission Underground right now. The interesting good news about being able to recap that now is that now we also know that not only did Aaron Teagues beat Micah Breakfeld in a very, very entertaining match last Sunday night, but after doing so, asked Uncle Chael if he could get a gi match on the next Submission Underground. Put the word out there in less than 72 hours. There is officially one, possibly two already gi matches to take place in the Octagon on Submission Underground next go around. I believe it's the 20. I think it's next Sunday. I think it's the 24th. I think might be the 31st, but it's coming up here pretty quick. But yeah, they're getting gi matches requested by the contestants now. So not only are we getting lots of great no-gi submission only BJJ matches over in the Submission Underground world, now we're starting to get some gi matches, and that could make things very, very interesting, because I love no-gi jiu-jitsu, but there are just moves you cannot do without a gi, period. And I'm by no means an expert, but I'm telling you right fucking now, there's a laundry list you can't count on your hands and toes that you can only do with the gi to be able to grab and latch onto, or to be able to force positions with.
Dude, there's so many things that can be done with the gi that you can't do in no gi. No gi is literally mano-a-mano grappling with submissions, basically. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not just fucking grappling like of the wrestling sense, but when you go into gi submissions, you can use the other person's gi to choke them out. You can use the belt. There's tons of fuckery afoot. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with a gi on that you can't do with no gi, because you just there's so many extra things for people to look out to. I like that he's getting ballsy, but to be quite honest, I think there are some better gi grapplers out there than him, which, to be quite honest, I think is a great call out for him that he wants to do that, because that goes, you know what? Some of these guys who are gi only grapplers, and there are a lot of them out there that are gi only that don't do no gi. Those guys, those are at the top peak of where that mountain is. He is at the peak of where the mountain of no gi is.
Yeah.
But there's two different peaks here. And I think we might get pleasantly surprised that he might not be as good in a gi as he is without the gi. And I'm not saying he's going to be bad, because if he knows what he's doing without the gi, he's obviously got the baseline.
Yeah.
But some of those little trickery things that they do with the gi, yeah, I mean, let's come full circle here. Go back to UFC 1.
Right.
I see. Nobody knew what the fuck he was doing wearing a gi, and he was tying motherfuckers up with it. Just saying, it's the same concept of no gi. And don't get me wrong, he probably knows a good bit of it, but I'm sure there's a couple of tricks that he's forgotten because he's trained without a gi for so long.
I look at it as a good thing, not only that it's going to kind of literally taunt or kind of call out some of those maybe not so public gi only players, because there's a lot of folks, like you said, who won't take the gi off. Like, they understand that no gi is a thing and they have their own respect for it, but they won't take their gi off. If you want to compete with them, you have to put one on, or it's just never going to happen. And by Teague's being crafty enough to kick ass and take names in no gi on multiple occasions now, and then calling out, like, I don't care if it's one of you pussies in the no-gi world who just wants to put your fucking PJs on, or if one of you legit boys from the fucking gi-only world wants to step up. I want a fucking gi match on Submission Underground, and Uncle Chael's willing to sign the fucking check. Who's ready to play, boys? And like 2 days later, a day and a half later, we got confirmed Teeks has got his match. There's possibly already a second match. I'm genuinely hoping that this gets some of these gi players to come in and be like, well, if Uncle Chael will give us a fucking spotlight and a chance to compete in a fucking cage, it could be really fun, and it could be worth the time of some of these, as Rogan likes to call them, nerd assassins. Gentlemen that you would see outside the cage and think nothing of, and then they put their gi on and your world is in a big problem right now because the gate just closed behind him and you're the target.
I really hope that fucking opens the floodgates for Submission Underground to then have like two different divisions there. You know, your gi, your no gi divisions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grappling associations out there that have that. And to be quite honest, where Submission Underground is right now, I look at them as far as like grappling is concerned. Right now, they're in the Bellator realm of things, because there are other submission grapplings that are, I will say, better than Submission Underground. Don't get me wrong, a lot flashier in Submission Underground right now, but you open that up to those other worlds, they could end up becoming the UFC of grappling, which would be fucking amazing, where they become that household name when it comes to grappling. I think it has a lot of potential.
I agree. And the other thing, even if Chael does, the difference being Uncle Chael's promotion is broadcast on UFC Fight Pass. It's talked about on ESPN. It's advertised on ESPN Plus. It's advertised on ESPN and ESPN Plus's other social media accounts as well. You get free publicity and way more coverage, even if you might not make as much in the match. The exposure that it gets, and the fact that we are now bringing gi and no gi to the octagon through Uncle Chael's exposure, I feel like is going to not only bring more eyes to this side of it, but bring a little bit of a finger snap aha moment, if you will, to some of these guys who didn't realize there was a platform for them to do this like there is now, clearly. So
oh yeah, not to mention you're gonna reignite some of those school rivalries too, which will be great, because I mean, you look, the fucking 10th Planet, the Gracies, so many of them out there where you're thinking these little inter-school rivalries.
The niche battles, yeah.
Yeah, those are going to be fucking great. It's literally something exciting to look at. And if you go and you follow in outside of, I mean, I know we majorly talk mixed martial arts here. We do touch on this submission stuff, but go do yourselves a favor if you haven't. Go follow a lot of these schools, not just the individual grapplers, but follow the schools because you can see where they kind of have those little tensions between the schools and stuff, and it's fucking cool. They're not outright as bold as like MMA is, where they're like, "No, fuck you guys" type shit.
Right? Yeah, there's no like fuck AKA, fuck ATT, Ruka sucks kind of shit going on. It's not that level.
Yeah, but it's there. There's definitely a platform of no, ours is better, no, mine's better, no, fuck you type shit. But they're definitely not as outright with it because they still respect one another's schools. It's just there are different styles. It's all Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's just there's different tweaks and styles. Like Planet Jiu-Jitsu, known for the rubber guard. I mean, you don't see any other schools that really focus on the rubber guard that much. So it's a cool thing to fucking see. So I'm excited for it. There's going to be a lot of cool shit. If this opens the floodgates, like I'm hoping it does, I'm thinking, oof, Uncle Chael may have found himself a fucking gold mine.
Right. Well, you also got to think they just announced last week that fucking Danaher has moved to Texas and they are opening a newly reformed Death Squad school in Texas with Nicky Rod, and fucking Gordy Ryan is back. He is ready to go back into competition. Apparently, whatever medical treatment they gave him got him all cleared up. So he's getting ready to get back into things, and he's moving down to Texas with them. So they're going like full yeehaw and bringing that New York Danaher Death Squad all the way down to fucking Texas. So they're going to be a hell of a lot closer as well. And you know, those boys will fucking strap on a gi, take off the gi. They don't give a fuck. They like to compete.
And they're going to go in there and get some of those old strong ass cowboys that fucking like to total around in Texas with that shit.
Yes.
Nothing like a big redneck that knows jiu-jitsu, man.
I'm telling you, big old corn-fed motherfucker that knows how to scarf hold you. That could be a problem.
Fucking when he's rolling like he's doing a two-step and it looks smooth as hell.
Yep. Yeah. It shit could get real interesting real fast, and I'm fucking for it. So that being said, I do apologize for missing a half a page worth of shit. It happened. You ever have something happen? Mine happened. Just happened to be a half page of notes. But we got that covered. That being said, the Wilder Fury 3 card. Holy shit. First and foremost, they did not even publicize that there were prelims, period, let alone the amount of prelim fights that were going on for the Wilder Fury card. It was on YouTube and it literally said unpromoted Wilder Fury 3 YouTube only prelims. It was associated, it looked kind of like the opening for a UFC card where every, in between a fight, they were talking about the pay-per-view and how long until the pay-per-view started and talking about the main event and blah, blah, blah. But they just didn't promote at all the prelim card. And I'm not going to say it was the greatest card in the world, but there were some pretty damn decent fights on that fucking card. And they never got a mention. Once the main card started, you never saw them talk back or hail back to the card that led them up or anything. It was kind of weird. That being said, on the main card, we were talking about it last week a little bit. 4 big heavyweight fights to get you through your main, and man, they were every fucking thing we hoped they were going to be. The Caceres versus Berlanga fight was fucking fire, back and forth fucking action, start to finish. What the fuck? Hang on, I just pulled it up here. What was his fucking name? Where is it? Robert Helenius. Good fucking Lord. Real life goddamn Viking. 6'9", 245, with abs and a gas tank. Fucking terrifying giant with clean, crisp technique at that. He just beat the dog shit out of Adam Kowalski, or Kanaki, excuse me. Just beat the shit out of him everywhere it went and was able to literally just push him around when and where he wanted to. That guy is fucking terrifying. And if they keep him on the legitimate track and don't let him go full circus, he has got a very bright future ahead of him. That motherfucker is scary as shit. And then the Agapa fight, the fucking F.A. Agapa versus Frank Sanchez. They literally teed this up to be the new young kid coming in to take out, I say with air quotes for those of you listening, the old seasoned veteran who is past his prime. And I tell you what, round 1 and part of 2 and early into 3, Agapa came out like a goddamn Ferrari, man. Like exactly what you would expect a young fucking high on his own supply, smelling what he's selling kind of fucking future quote unquote star to be capable of. And he really did put it on Frank Sanchez. But man, Sanchez knew exactly what he was in for, and he stayed calm and he stayed collected. And once he weathered that early storm and you saw Agapa start to take his foot off the gas a little bit, you saw him like giggle a little bit like that. I see you, motherfucker. You're slowing down, and now I got you. And that veteran mentality kicked in, and he just took fucking control and pushed that kid all over the fucking squared circle as long as they fucking let him when, where, and how he fucking wanted to. There was a weird point that they did not count a knockdown as a knockdown. They counted it as a slip, even though you see a clip and then the fucking stumble to the ground. There was also a point where they counted or they took a point off for a hook that was thrown that in the replay, even the commentators were like, no, that was clean. But the fucking ref in the moment thought it was dirty and fucking took the point. It was weird. The whole fight was just fucking insane. Props to Agapa. That kid is fucking talented for sure. But Frank Sanchez just came out and showed what a legitimate heavyweight boxing veteran is fucking capable of. And it was very nice to fucking see somebody come out there and just class their way through the bullshit that you knew was going to fly at a fucking young up and coming kid. That being said, if you really thought that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder were going to get into a fucking ring and it wasn't going to be crazy, you've never seen anything to do with boxing before. I will say I'm not entirely impressed by what I saw from Deontay Wilder, but you could see that there were some changes in his strategy going in. He definitely planned to play the long game a little more. He didn't rush as much. He tried to be a little more measured, at least early on, until you could see Tyson really getting in his head and fucking with him. And he did land some fucking absolute spectacular shots. He legitimately dropped Tyson Fury at least once. The second time, or the second time was legitimate. The first time, there was a little bit of dancing. There was a little bit of foot tangling. There was a little bit of head rocking. It could have been a shot that landed. It could have been the way that they fell off of each other when they broke off. But that being said, we did get another ridiculous Tyson Fury rising from the dead kind of moment. They're calling it the slow count. The referee got to 4, called 5, and in true Deontay Wilder fucking fashion, the idiot starts jumping around the ring and fucking celebrating and comes running back up towards Tyson Fury, where the referee stops counting and turns around to Deontay Wilder and tells him, get back to your corner, stop it, get back to your corner, and then turns back around to Tyson Fury and goes, 6, 7. He legitimately did get a long count on that. But the thing is, Deontay Wilder caused the long count. Anyone who has anything to do with any sport that has an 8 count knows when the referee steps in and starts counting, your job is to walk to your fucking corner and stand there until he calls you back to keep fighting, or announces the fight is over. That's how the counting process works, period. In every fucking sport across the board that has a count like that. So when he had Tyson Fury on his fucking back, clean, all he had to fucking do, literally, was just stand in his goddamn corner. Keep talking shit. No one fucking cares. Just stand in your goddamn corner like they told you to, and let the referee do his one fucking job in that moment, and that's count to fucking 10. He was at 5, literally, and Deontay interrupted him, giving Tyson the long count that he needed to stand back up, come back, and beat the absolute shit out of Deontay Wilder and knock him out clean as can fucking be, bouncing him off the ropes in 11. I am not any kind of a fan of Deontay Wilder, and I am no hater of Tyson Fury, but Deontay Wilder literally cost himself what could have been the biggest win of his fucking career last weekend. That fight was so fucking built up as such the definitive moment, even though it was a 2-0 fucking fight score going into the trilogy. That moment where he put where he put Tyson Fury on his fucking back hard. All he had to fucking do was stand in his fucking corner and let that referee count, and he would have got to 10. With no interruptions, he would have got to fucking 10. I'm here to tell you. He would have got there. But of course, Wilder comes in, gets the warning, gives Tyson the extra time. Tyson gets back up and then takes the whole fucking thing back. And to make it even worse, the fight's over. Tyson Fury tries to be a good fucking sportsman, and he goes over to shake Deontay Wilder's hand and say, good fucking fight. You know, show some fucking respect after the thing. As he's walking over, Deontay Wilder says, I got no fucking respect for you, man, and turns away from him and refuses to shake his fucking hand. What?
That's the difference between boxing and MMA.
Right?
A fucking nutshell.
Yeah. Every fucking fight in MMA, I don't care how fucking bad they hate each other. Jorge Masvidal shook Kamaru Usman's hand after he knocked him the fuck out. Gave him that fucking movie-esque fucking spit fly reel knockout. Jorge shook his goddamn hand afterwards. Like, I don't remember the last time in recent years that there's been a fucking rivalry, even if it flares back up. When that fight is over, you shake fucking hands because you just shared combat. And here we go, a fight that literally required a fucking lawsuit to be created. He gave you the damn fight anyway, and he still whipped your fucking ass. And he comes to shake your hand like a man, and you still can't fucking do it.
No, you know what the greatest thing about this is to me? Tyson had a fucking Undertaker moment. And I say that in two senses. One, he got a fucking message from the Undertaker prior to the fight about beating Wilder. And two, he gets what could have been a loss had the count not been interrupted. And I say could have because he could have gotten up. We don't know that because the count didn't continue. So I can neither say whether he would have lost or not, but he could have lost right there. Gets up and then comes back to dominate the piss out of Wilder. That's a straight fucking Undertaker move. Those of you who used to watch professional wrestling way back in the day, you think he's out? No, the fuck he's not. He's standing upright. He literally had the fucking Undertaker moment, not to mention an amazing finish. And look, good on him for trying to be a sportsman. Deontay Wilder, look, he was shitty in the moment. He did come out later and congratulate him, whatever, but I still think he was shitty in the moment. And I get part of that is, dude just knocked me out for the third fucking time. I don't have respect right now. Yeah, guess what? You don't have to have respect because he's still your fucking daddy at this point.
Like it or not.
Yep. He's got your number. That's how this works. Maybe it's time you squash and be like, hey, can I train with you so I can learn something and we can learn off of each other and make each other better?
Look how well that works in the MMA world. Look how many times we see somebody get their ass handed to them and literally 2 weeks later, they're in their fucking gym training with them. Show me how you did that thing where you kicked my ass. Yeah, and then they all get better because of it.
Granted, that ain't going to happen because we know how the boxing world is because nope, we stay with our camps and fuck the other guy, even though they whipped our ass. Don't get me wrong. I think Wilder still has a lot to go in his career, but he's never going to achieve greatness.
Yeah, he peaked for sure at this point. He basically shot himself in the foot by insisting on this third fight being a thing instead of
right now
his ass and earning it back.
And on the other side of that, though, after the fuckery we've seen in boxing over the last fucking 6 months, a year, this was duly needed for boxing as a whole because they really needed a good fucking
it helped boxing as a whole. I absolutely agree.
But on the other side, I think it also hurt it too. Showing, all we have to do is throw a lawsuit out and we'll get our fight. You don't see that in fucking MMA. People aren't going to file a lawsuit because you don't want to fight them. No, they're going to move on to the next fucking guy because you know what? Fuck it. You don't mean shit.
Yep. You clearly aren't taking it serious enough.
Yeah, but yeah, it is what it is. And good on Tyson Fury. As good showing by both fighters, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah, no, it was a damn entertaining night of boxing. It absolutely was what boxing needed. It really was. At least a couple hours of solid, entertaining, legitimate, great heavyweight boxing, and that was definitely something that boxing as a whole required to be relevant going forward because it's on life support rather. Boxing as a whole that pacemaker is wired to the fucking wall and it's already fluttering, man. Like it's so close to just being completely fucking irrelevant in the modern combat sports era. This was good for him, I think. So hopefully we'll see some more cards like this going forward. That being said, we did have a fairly entertaining UFC card last Saturday as well. There's one fight in particular on the prelims that we fucking cannot go forward without talking about. Charles Rosa versus Damon Jackson. Holy shit. Talk about setting the fucking pace and standard going forward for the fucking evening. Damon Jackson catches an elbow that just splices the entire corner of his head open from almost hairline to eyebrow, and then proceeds to lock in on Rosa and not let go. And he's upside down, and you watch, I'm not kidding you, a fucking doormat sized puddle of blood just spread across the fucking canvas like a murder scene in a horror movie. It crept out like the size of a small person laying down on the mat. Like blood straight up fucking covered a section of canvas. It was a little fucking weird. Even Damon Jackson said afterward, it was a little creeping watching my own blood stream upside down off my head. That being said, it never slowed him down a bit. It didn't diminish his fucking drive, and it did not impair him in any fucking way. The dude leaked a ton of blood on the goddamn canvas, never took his foot off the pedal, never slowed down, and never looked withered or fucking weakened because of it, and straight up pointed the shit out of Charles Rosa to get the fucking unanimous decision. Just a fucking stellar performance of I don't give a shit, in my opinion. Like, does not fucking matter. The doctor came in, looked at it, says, no, he's clear to fight if he can go. And they said, are you good to go? And he says, hell yeah, let's go. And got right the fuck back into it. No hesitation, no fucking nothing, no excuses, no bullshit, and won that motherfucker. Bra fucking bow, Damon Jackson. Bra fucking bow, man.
The only thing that I want to know that came with that is why is Charles Rosa still in the UFC?
I agree.
He's been absolute fucking trash since he's got here.
I agree.
Like it's not even worth him being on the roster. Don't get me wrong. Yes, he is a fucking jiu-jitsu ace, but MMA is not his fucking thing. I mean, he's gotten what in the last fucking three
I think that makes him
years?
0-3, I think.
Fucking no, he's won one. He beat James via split decision.
Oh, that's right. He got that bullshit decision over Justin James. That's right.
Which
That's
probably
right.
should have gone that way, but hey, still, I think that's his only win in the
Right.
last 4 fucking years.
I think you're correct. Yeah, what a fuckhead, man. I
He
wouldn't be
shouldn't
surprised if
UFC.
we see him on the next round of USC walking papers getting let go, but
He should have been on him fucking a year ago. That's all I'm saying.
he shouldn't have been here to get his ass whipped by Damon Jackson bleeding everywhere. I agree.
Just another case that shouldn't fucking be here.
Yeah, I agree. That being said, Chris Gutierrez versus Felipe Colares sucked. Like, that's one of the worst fucking card opening fights the UFC has put forth in a hot goddamn minute, in my opinion. And that's saying something because we've had some real shit shows lately. That just fucking sucked, man. You could tell neither one of them really gave a fuck. And they were right to go split decision because everybody watching that fucking fight had a hard time figuring out who the fuck actually won that dumpster fire on wheels. That being said, Sabine Mazzo versus Mariah Agapa, I believe is how they say her name is pronounced now. Agapa landed a fucking clean right to set up that end. But that was the cleanest thing she had thrown in the entire fucking fight. In the middle of the third round, she threw her cleanest fucking shot that just happened to land and set up the submission against Mazzo. But Sabina was kicking her fucking ass for the most part for the whole fucking 2 rounds leading into that. And then when she got fucking sloppy, to her credit, Agapova landed that fucking shot and jumped right on her fucking neck. And then Mazzo put up almost no fucking fight once Agapova had wrapped around her. So, props to Agapova for knowing to jump on her fucking neck instead of trying to actually keep fighting her out. Because Mazzo apparently has no fucking jiu-jitsu defense at all. And if you wrap her up even a little, she fucking squeals and taps. That being said, now Agapova is fucking running her mouth just like we all fucking anticipated she would. Calling out Ioane and Jacek and calling out fucking her old teammates from the old gym that they kicked her out of for being a fucking lunatic and just starting that whole bullshit train again. So we see where that fucking road leads out. Hopefully it doesn't last long, rather, but you can tell they're going to try and push her down that fucking road. That being said, there's a lot of people out there saying it, and I do not agree with them, that Tim Elliott is spent at this point, that it's time that he just hang him up. I don't agree with that at all. Not one fucking bit. What I agree with is that James Krause was trying everything he could to make Tim Elliott do the right thing, to tell him the right thing to do. And Tim Elliott wasn't listening. And then after the fact, despite it being Tim Elliott in the cage, not fucking listening and getting a loss via unanimous decision to Matthias Nicolau, who put up a hell of a fucking fight, James Krause is the one who released a statement and said Tim lost because I made errors on the coaching side and I take responsibility for his loss. Meanwhile, Elliott sat fucking silent. Nicolau did enough to get the decision. It wasn't it wasn't a barn burner by any stretch of the imagination, but Nicolau did enough to get the W. Elliott wasn't responding to what his coaches were literally screaming at him from his corner. I agree that the fight belonged to Nicolau. I don't believe the responsibility for the loss goes to Krause, though. I think Elliott needs to fucking own that. Props to Krause for being a badass and stepping up to the fucking plate and saying, no, this loss was my fault as the commander, planning the fucking strategy out. But as a realist who's not on his fucking team, I call bullshit. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, it's the meter. I'd like to talk about Tim Elliott. Yeah. I don't feel like someone like Tim Elliott deserves a fucking badass coach like James Krause, but he's got him. So hopefully he learns to start fucking listening. That being said, the actual co-main event. Much like every UFC card recently, this one was no stranger to fuckery. This one came in the particular form of Jared Gooden missing weight and then trying to downplay it. But Randy Brown came in prepared and said that he was going to make a statement and he was going to make Gooden pay for missing weight. And he sure the fuck did. He worked that motherfucker for the whole of 15 fucking minutes. Unanimous decision victory. There was not a moment where Gooden had control of that fucking fight. Randy Brown ran that fucking show start to finish. And even he said he was a little disappointed that he couldn't get the finish, but that just means that he's got more to work on when he goes back to the gym with the W. So there is that. And I agree. Gooden didn't ever look like he was ever actually in it compared to Randy Brown, despite having the clear weight advantage. Didn't do him any good. So fuck him for missing weight and being a douchebag, and props to Randy Brown for getting the W on that one. That being said, that will bring us into one of the most fucking garbage main events the UFC has forced fans to take and deal with in a hot fucking minute. And they've been throwing some fucking stinkers at us in the recent months here, but this one was just fucking bad. For whatever fucking reason, Marina decided that she was going to try and wrestle with Mackenzie, and Mackenzie decided that she wanted to try and stand and strike with Marina. And that's kind of fucking weird because it was neither of their strong suits, and that's kind of known as a Valentina thing. Like, she wants to take you at what you're good at and fucking beat you with it. But she's so many light years ahead of everyone she competes with. She can literally do that and not have a risk of losing her fucking belt. Neither one of these girls are Valentina. Neither one of these girls should have tried to do what they do. Luckily for Marina, she is a better grappler than Mackenzie as a striker. So it all sort of balanced out in her favor to get the unanimous decision at the end of the night. That being said, this was far from an exciting start to finish matchup and far from something that should have been a 5-round fight to begin with. I think maybe given the situation reversed, Randy Brown and Jared Gooden getting an extra 2 rounds versus the 2 we didn't need to see from the ladies to finish it out might have made for a better card, but that kind of logic is also why I clearly don't work for the UFC. So,
you know, the greatest thing in the world about that fight was I didn't fucking watch it.
I can definitely see that.
Dude, to be quite honest, I didn't watch that entire fucking card because it was to me in my mind it was a complete waste of fucking time. There was not one fight on there that seemed like it was fucking interesting. I went back and I caught a couple of highlights, and that was about it. And I say a couple, meaning not Mackenzie Dern, because I don't give 2 flying fucks about her. The greatest thing that happened out of this is she got an L. Because you know what?
Slow that hype train the fuck down a little bit for me.
I wish Rodriguez would have finished her, so it would have completely derailed the fucking thing. But at least now they're gonna have to put some lube in it before they shove that bitch up my ass again.
I agree. It would have been much nicer, but still, we got something out of it. I agree completely. And honestly, I wasn't excited about any fight on this fucking card either. I was genuinely using it as a filler until the Tyson Fury fight came on, because the Fury fights were way late where the UFC normally would have been. And the UFC fights were early in the afternoon. The main card started at 3 this last weekend. So, not spectacular card overall. That being said, they did make history on that card being the first time a UFC Fight Night has had a all women's bonus issue. Fight of the night went to Dern versus Rodriguez, which it was not the fight of the night, but it's what they gave fight of the night to. And then performance of the night bonuses went to Marina Agapova and then Lupita Godinez for her submission on the early prelims against a soup can, which was not as spectacular as they made it out to be either. But it was, however, the first time a fight night has had an all-woman bonus roster. So hats off for only being around for 25 years before you have an all-ladies fucking bonus night, UFC. I say with the sarcasm font turned on. But that being said, again, we've actually got a fairly, and I use that term loosely, fairly normal medical suspension list. We got another one of the situations where basically you're out until a doctor clears you, or April 8th, or you're suspended until Halloween. And ironically, Mackenzie is out because they think she might have broke her thumb, and they suspended her for a potential broken thumb until April or cleared by a doctor. Randy Brown fucked his toe up. Like, it's jacked. It's fucked. So he's out until the 8th or he gets cleared. Let's see. Caleris, they think he broke a bone in his elbow, out till April 8th or cleared by a doctor. Agapova, they think she might have broken a bone in her nose, out until April 8th or cleared by a doctor. Romanov broke his middle finger, out until April 8th or cleared by a doctor. Why you need 6 months for a fucking broken finger, I don't understand, but it's very evident now that they are issuing blanket fucking medical suspensions or lack thereof after these UFC events in Vegas now. Rosa, broken toe, April 8th or cleared by a fucking doctor. Damon Jackson, whose fucking head got split wide open, April 8th or cleared by a doctor. So they're really not paying too terribly much detailed attention to these fights, but I am still happy to see that the people who are legitimately getting hurt are having to spend time to get healed or get cleared by a doctor. And the people who clearly aren't getting hurt aren't getting held up for 6 months or having to go see their doctor to get cleared, when they should obviously be able to turn around as quick as they're able to by the company. That being said, though, we do have some interesting news this week that has come about since we saw you lovely folks last. We've got a decent amount of fight news here, and then some not so fight news that we'll talk about in a little bit. But first, the fight news. The first one here, November 20th's card just got added to it. Tai Tuivasa versus Augusto Sakai, which I am very excited about. I think that's going to be a fucking great matchup. Stylistically, I think they're fucking just right for each other. That's going to be a fun banger, I believe. We also got the announcement just this afternoon. There is potential history in the making this week. Lupita Godinez, who got the submission Saturday and then the bonus for it, has officially signed the bout agreement to make a 7-day turnaround to compete this coming Saturday against Luana Carolina, which will officially take the record away from Khamzat Chimaev at 13 days and make the fastest UFC turnaround now a literal week. If that fight makes it to that point, good on you. That's going to be a little bit of a tough one. To be fair, she got the submission on that soup can last weekend real fucking quick and didn't really take any shots in the process. So it's not like she took any damage, but we'll see. We'll see how that weight cut, because she apparently cuts a decent bit of weight. And after that fight, I'm guessing probably went out and had some celebrations, and that literally might come back to bite her in the ass this weekend.
I bet you they knew that was coming prior to their fight and were looking for something like that. And we're like, well, she's available and she's here already. See if she can keep going. I bet you they talked to her after the fight because we knew that fucking Luana fucking Carolina fight got fucking canceled. Was it a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? And they were still looking for someone for her before they canceled it. So I think it probably worked out in Lupe's favor where she probably just will stay and maintain weight there and won't have a big cut. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. You go out, you tie one on the night after.
Right. Eat a bunch of fucking pizza, drink a bunch of fucking beer to celebrate. Next thing you know, you're 12 pounds over what you were the day before. It happens.
Hopefully there wasn't no celebratory fucking where you come up pregnant, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Strange things have been known to happen like that. So we'll see how that happens as we get closer to Saturday. We're a couple days out. Everything as of now is still on the books and ready to go. So as of Thursday night, she is set to make history this weekend as after being part of the history making all ladies bonus card last weekend. So we'll see where she goes, man. That's a lot of attention for a fucking up and comer. We'll see how she handles it.
Well, she does well, to be quite honest. I really do.
I got nothing against her, man. I got nothing against her at all. If she can fucking hang and she can do to Carolina what she did to that soup can last weekend, she's earned every bit of that spotlight, in my opinion.
Think about it like this, too. That puts her in the ranks of the Kamzat, where guess what? She has all the right to fucking talk trash all she wants then.
Yep.
So long as she fucking finishes this fight, that's put you right there with Kamzat. Fucking let me talk my shit,
That's the on the nose part though. As long as she finishes.
Yep, that's why I said that. I'm not gonna give her the right to do it if she doesn't finish or doesn't do a good job in the fight. If she does a fantastic job and loses, she still has that right. But if
absolutely. As long as she doesn't whiff it completely.
Yeah. Because right now, to be quite honest, anybody who takes a fight on short notice, you're getting set up for failure.
On 7 days.
Yeah.
That's asking for.
I mean, the plus side is she literally just came out of camp, just had a fucking basically a sparring match because she didn't get fucking hit. So I mean, things are in the right direction for her. She just had the camp for the wrong person. That's all.
Right. No shit. She got out of camp a week early, and now she's just making up for it. No, I think she's got a potential to really do some good here as long as she doesn't whiff it this weekend. That being said, we got a fucking 4-pack here of news for 2 weeks from not next week, but 2 weeks from now, November 6th, UFC 269 card. The first edition we got last weekend was originally supposed to be Philip Hawes versus fucking, I can't remember his goddamn name off the top of my head now. Mini DC, Deron Winn. Was originally supposed to be Philip Hawes versus Deron Winn. Deron Winn pulls out 48 hours before the fight. Friday morning, Deron Winn pulls out right before fucking weigh-ins. Chris Curtis steps up, says, I'll take that fucking fight on 24 hours notice. Weighs in, makes fucking weight on 24 hours notice like a badass. Shows up, 24 hour notice, makes fucking weight. Ready to go. Philip Hawes sees Chris Curtis on 24 hours notice and says, no, thank you. I will decline that fight. I'm not going to take that fight on 24 hours notice. I was training for a 5'2" wrestler, and you're going to give me on 24 hours notice a 6'2" striker. I appreciate you guys trying to find me another matchup, but I'm not signing up for that. To which I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That is the absolute right fucking decision. That is the absolute right decision. That was a complete different size. That was a complete different style. On 24 hours notice, Philip Hawes has every fucking right to say, I'm not going to risk it because Philip Hawes is on a roll right now. But to be fair, they say, hey, how about we give you 2 weeks instead of 24 hours? And Hawes says, fuck yeah. Signed the contract on the fucking spot. Philip Hawes versus Chris Curtis will now take place on UFC 269. Fuck Deron Winn. He's back to the goddamn bottom of the fucking line. I agree. 2 weeks is a lot more acceptable. It'll take a difference in a fight literally of that size that there actually was and that stylistic difference. I think that was a very intelligent move. I think 2 weeks is still a short notice, but that's more acceptable. And I still think it's going to be a pretty fucking good fight.
I don't know. Look, I get the size discrepancy, but you know what you signed up for when you're fighting in the UFC. It doesn't matter the size of the person. Yeah, it matters whether they're a striker or not. But if you've been fighting this long and got on that big of a roll, you should be able to fight any fucking fighter. It's kind of like there's no military thing where I should be able to pick up anyone else's rifle off the ground if they're dead and use their rifle to kill the enemy because it's the same fucking thing. Just a little bit of difference. You just gotta adjust where your aim is.
Yeah.
So do I think, yeah, it's a smart move? Yes, but at the same time, it's a fucking bitch move. You want that fucking jump up there to get that shot at the title, you need to take those types of risks, even on 24 hours notice. That's all I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad you took it after 2 weeks, but still kind of bitch move in my own opinion. You already fucking weighed in. What was the fucking point? Really? Why? Waste of fucking time. Like 2 weeks, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they said, well, maybe you can't do this, but maybe we can get you on the pay-per-view card.
Well, I was going to say that actually comes twofold, though, because one, I'm pretty sure they still gave him his show money for making weight last time, even though he didn't actually take the fight, because he did show up and he did make weight regardless of 2 opponents changing out on him like that. So I'm pretty sure they still gave him his show money for last weekend. And now he's going to get show and potential win money and be on a pay-per-view card coming up with more excitement for being the fight that was rebooked after the last minute. Now he's basically built himself a storyline.
Yeah, and I get that. I still think he should have taken it on 24 hours notice because, to be quite honest, I think he could have worked him on 24 hours notice.
I thought it would have been a fucking great story on 24 hours notice as well. I'm not gonna fucking lie.
You come in there and you fucking win on a 24-hour notice guy that's a complete size different, complete different style. Dude, yeah, that says
I would have made you the fucking hero either way, as long as you just
and like
fucking
now
obliterated.
Now on 2 weeks, it's kind of like, you had enough time to study. Whatever, don't care.
Yeah, I agree. But they're also going to hype this up more on the card and then build up to the fight. The ESPN will be the story of the fight that's now being remade on the pay-per-view. And you know what I mean? They'll give it the ESPN treatment and shit now. I agree, though. I still think it would have been cool on a 24 hours notice, but I get it. But we also got some other interesting news for UFC 269. See, live words are hard sometimes. Jeff Neal versus Santiago Ponzinibbio also added to UFC 269. Also very interesting fucking fight. Also added to UFC 269. Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards. The 3-piece in a soda is officially getting run back. It only took 3.5 years, which is actually pretty quick for the UFC if you look at it. But we are officially getting the UFC run back from that behind the scenes 3-piece in a fucking soda that came out oh so long ago. It's finally getting run back. It's happening.
You get to see what actually made Street Jesus again.
Right. The other little tidbit of information that we got about UFC 269 was actually not as interesting as those 3 fight announcements. It's actually a little shittier, but not completely shitty. We've actually lost a fight in the process of getting those 3 from the UFC 269 card. We lost Biggie Smalls versus Brandon Moreno 3, the trilogy. But we didn't lose it forever. We just lost it to the next month. They're moving it to UFC 270 so they can start next year with the first pay-per-view of UFC 2022 with that title fight of the trilogy. And I get that. It gives them both an extra month to train, and it gives the UFC a guaranteed title fight to start the year off with, regardless of what else is going to fall out between now and then. But
little pissed about that. That's my fucking birthday card. December 11th is. Motherfuckers took away a great icing on a cake with fucking candles on top. No, you threw that shit on the floor and stomped on it for me. Fuck you, UFC. Fuck you.
In the words of Lonely Island, they threw it on the ground.
Yeah. Fucking terrible.
Oh, but We did get a couple other interesting announcements going forward from there. We got the announcement that Montana De La Rosa is out of her UFC 269 fight against Macy Barber, but stepping up on short notice is Erin Blanchfield, the star of 2 weekends ago, making her debut, kicking ass and taking names, has stepped up to take on Macy Barber on essentially 2 weeks notice here. So good on her for that. We got a pair of announcements for the December 4th card coming up. The first one, Jeremiah Wells stepping in against Jake Matthews, a couple of big boys in there to make fucking noise. The other fight that got added to that card that I'm very excited to see how it plays out, Rafael Fiziev is stepping back into the octagon, that fucking lunatic, and this time he is taking on Brad Quake Rydell. That is going to be a fucking banger. If ever there was a prescription for one, that is it. Those two gentlemen are gonna fucking bring the thunder. I'm 1,000% convinced. Those are gentlemen that we like to refer to as being allergic to boring fights. They break out and punch. We got a little bit more of the early 2022 planning announced this week. For the February 5th card, they have got confirmed, signed, sealed, and delivered Smilin' Sam Alvey versus Ian Heinisch. And what I am genuinely hoping the MMA gods will let be a loser leaves town, maybe even winner leaves town match, because they both need to be fucking gone at this point. I would be happy with loser. I would squeal like a 12-year-old girl at a Bieber concert if it was both of them, regardless of the outcome. But we'll see how that goes. The February 12th card, the following week, got another fight added to it in the form of Kyler Phillips taking on up-and-comer Marcelo Rojo. That'll be an interesting matchup. Both tiny little dudes, both wiry as fuck and energetic as all fucking get out. So that'll be fun to watch. And that will bring us to the not as fun chunk of the news that we need to go over here. First and foremost, if you did not see any of last weekend's I almost called it UFC, BKFC Montana card, don't worry, you are along with most of the rest of the world who didn't see it either. That being said, the quote unquote main event ended in just 53 seconds in the first round by vicious KO knockout of Joe Diesel Riggs on Melvin Gillard, planting him face down horribly on the fucking canvas. To which we found out afterwards, he ended up with 5 orbital fractures that required 2 different surgeries over the course of this week. He has gone through those surgeries. Everything has come out looking like it should be okay. So it's just a matter of healing, but hopefully we do not see Melvin back in the fucking ring of any kind anytime soon, because I didn't realize until they were talking about the surgery, Melvin Gillard has not had a win of any kind inside any ring or octagon since 2014. That was in bare knuckle bout. He has not, that was his last MMA win. I apologize. His last BKFC win was in 2017. So he has not had a bare knuckle win in 4 years. He has not had an MMA win, which is what he's supposed to be good at, in 7 fucking years. And this one was quite obviously the most devastating and most brutal loss of his career to date. Hopefully, in a positive sense of the word, that's the last one he needs to get to know that it's time to stop. 5 orbital fractures in less than a minute and 2 surgeries is not fuel to get back into camp and get ready to try this again. That's a sign it's time to stop, Melvin. Stop. Don't do this anymore. that being said, we got a pair of, not even a pair, a trio really, of super shitty news this week that still needs to be talked about. The first one, thankfully, and I'm sure it's all for show, but regardless, it still happened. Mike Winklejohn decided that he had enough testicular fortitude built up in him to actively kick John Jones out of the gym and tell him that he's not welcome back and he needs help. He genuinely needs help. Less than 24 hours later, he released a statement that said that he's considering it a suspension and absolutely would love to welcome Jones back, provided he could show that he's changed. So it's not going to be a permanent thing, and he's probably going to roll right over. But he made more of a statement toward John Jones's bullshit behavior than the fucking UFC has at this point. So that's something, and I wanted to at least give him credit for that, even though I'm pretty sure he's going to show his fucking belly before this weekend's up. But we got the initial. Then we got,
I hope not.
yeah, I agree. I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope that Winklejohn, if Winklejohn needs to be the voice that cracks down on John and shows him that there's going to be fucking consequences this time around, so be it. I'm totally cool with that. I don't think that's how it's going to play out, but I hope I'm wrong. But along with that, apparently assholism is in the water this week, because we got another pair of shitbag news to go along with John. First, we got a report that Luis Pena, Violent Bob Ross, as it were, was back in the news once again because not only did he in May get in a physical altercation with a significant other who refused to press charges on him, but then this time got in a physical altercation with his significant other and a female passerby who tried to stop him from assaulting his significant other. He has been arrested, he has been detained, and he has been kicked out of the fucking UFC. Thankfully, I am hoping that they are using this as the groundwork to get rid of John Jones next, because this is fucking ridiculous. The problem for me is that Violent Bob Ross being a piece of shit, being confirmed a piece of shit, as you can now hear the 911 call from his significant other who has had enough of his shit as well, is that he was not the only one this week to catch that piece of shit-itis disease that makes you think that you can put your hands on your significant other. Chuck the Iceman Liddell was also arrested this week for domestic violence and battery. The minute difference in the story with Chuck Liddell versus John Jones or Luis Pena is that in Chuck's situation here, Chuck has since come out and said that he did not hit his wife. His wife actually hit him, and that this is an ongoing situation, and that he volunteered to be arrested so that his wife would not be taken, so that her name would stay out of the headlines, because that's how domestic violence arrests work in Hollywood, apparently. I say with sarcasm tone. So being a scumbag is apparently in the fucking water this week in the combat world headlines. But luckily, we don't have to end on a sour note. There is a bright spot shining through the shitstorm to carry us to the other side of news. And it is in everyone's favorite rubber man, Edgy Bra himself. He carries us through the dark times and leads us to the light. He has announced EBI is officially returning spring 2022. It is back. Combat Jiu-Jitsu will be back. Ladies Jiu-Jitsu and Combat Jiu-Jitsu will be back. It is coming back. It is back. It is back. The goodness that started the whole scramble for no-gi really getting put into the limelight is coming back. And it could not be a better time, in my opinion. Not that I am not grateful for Submission Underground or for Fight to Win or for Flow Grappling or any of the other dozens of EBI-esque competitions that have popped up, most of them even literally using the EBI rule set. But the originator, the trendsetter, there's a reason they use the EBI rule set, because EBI is the standard. It is what people look forward to, or at least we did until this hiatus. But the hiatus is over, boys and girls. EBI is coming back. That being said, this coming weekend, so as to not miss another half page of fucking news, I've got them pulled up in front of me. We have not one, not two, but 3 cards worth talking about, 4 if you want to get fancy, this upcoming weekend. Saturday night, we have both UFC Fight Night, LaddVsDumont, and Bellator 266 Nemkov versus Anglicus. Sunday, we have Cage Warriors 130, the Alpha Ginger versus Ambrose. If you're looking for punchy-kicky, there's plenty to be had this weekend. That being said, this would be the point where those of you who are only listening to the audio version or not at your device watching will not realize that that sweet, sweet GIF has taken across the screen to let fans and followers know that we are about to enter the pit. So before we get into this week's upcoming goodness, RJ, welcome to the show. Glad you can make it. Everyone's dying to know. Have you done your homework?
Of course I did.
All right. So then, before we get into this week's shenaniganry, RJ, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay. So for last week, sorry, I could not be here. The first question, like always, it's either question 1 or question 2, is the co-main between the UFC card and the Tyson Fury Wilder 3 event. Both you gentlemen both picked the UFC card, the Sanchez fight, but purely on the amount of detail given on his answer, I had to give that one to Meter. Purely on the amount of detail. Number 2 was the main event for the both cards again. Meter went with the Mackenzie Dern Rodriguez fight because we knew how the Tyson Fury event was going to play out, as Meter suspected, and it happened. TJ went with the Tyson Fury event because that was a guaranteed good fucking event. At least that particular fight. I had to side with Meter again on that one because it happened twice. It's going to happen again because Wilder just cannot compete with the likes of Tyson Fury. And then it came down to the better promos. I had to give that one to TJ. Had to give it to TJ because TJ was absolutely correct. UFC did way more promo than what they did for that Tyson Fury card, and they really screwed the pooch because they could have done fucking amazing promos for the trilogy fight. Quite literally, the only promo I saw was Tyson Fury talking to Mike Tyson because his dad named him after Mike Tyson because his dad was a boxer. That was the only promo I saw leading up to the Tyson Fury match. So I had to give I had to give that one to TJ because I did feel like he was pretty on the money for that. And then 4 was the better bang for your buck between both events, the $70 for the boxing event or the $12.99 for your monthly subscription for UFC on ESPN Plus. Had to give it to me to not Meter but TJ because TJ went and brought up the fact that that $12.99 is for your entire month, not just one particular event. So I did have to give that one to TJ, which leads into the final death question. The Little Fury versus the Paul fight, if that comes to be. And that, as much as I love the answer that TJ gave of fuck him, I have to give it to the new pit champion Meter. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Now, because I knew this was coming up, I told you I was going to bring this before the goddamn commission.
Absolutely. I wasn't even going to start yet. I was going to give you your floor here.
I think it's time that we no longer talk about that sorry sack of shit with 2 first names. I'm not even going to say his name. It's just a sorry sack of shit with 2 first names or anyone in his family. They
I wrote it down.
Don't belong here.
I wrote that down under Meter wins. I wrote down the commission statements.
I bring it before the commission that I say we take a vote to never talk about him, no matter what news he's in or what fight. Doesn't fucking matter. It's not something that should be covered here.
Second that statement. I second this movement.
All right. So we will put it to a vote then. All in favor of striking the dual first namer from the show henceforth for any reason, raise your hand. All against, raise your hand. The nays have it. All right. So that being said, no, I will concede that we will keep both first names out of the show unless the fight gets made, in which case I will talk about it because I, like the rest of the world, want to see that fucking clown get laid on his face. And the only attention I will give to him is if there's a possibility that happens when it gets time to it. I will talk about it after the fact, but I will not give him press building up to it. But if he gets flatlined, I will laugh out loud for a good solid minute on the show.
One addendum that needs to be added to this. It does not come up in questions in the pit with the 2 first names ever.
We could do that. That's fine.
I don't feel like wasting my breath.
Oh, or
I have a limited number of those in my life, and they should be used for better things.
Or I would also be okay with bringing him up if he gets arrested.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
not going to give him any positive press, but should some horrible shit happen to him, you better believe I'm going to laugh about it.
Yeah,
although,
we can bring that up.
Please do bring up some positive press, like he got hit by a fucking dump truck and died.
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like if his bullshit leads to positive press, like if he walks in front of a city bus and the camera on the front catches it, and we could find that video, I will absolutely bring that up.
Yeah,
Jesus,
new face of the decade coming your way.
The hits just keep on coming. But that being said, we do have a couple of cards on tap for this weekend. Like I said, none of them are the greatest, but as in the case more often than not, leading into a big, not pay-per-view per se, but numbered UFC event next weekend over in Abu Dhabi, they're not going to give us the greatest fights this weekend to begin with. That being said, the reason that I named the episode what I named the episode is because we are doing just that. The UFC is rewarding Aspen Ladd for missing weight by an entire fucking division 2 weeks ago by giving her the main event spot in the weight class that she missed by 2 weeks later and promoting it rather than making a point to say she missed weight, but we're going to let her fight this other fight. They're genuinely promoting the shit out of Aspen Ladd right now on all of their social media platforms and completely mum is the fucking word on the fact that she weighed in at 143 fucking pounds for a 135 pound fight 2 weeks ago. In cheating and holding onto the fucking towel, she was barely able to get down to a scale reading of 139 for a 135 pound fight that she knew about for more than enough time to have accommodated for what she said happened and other fighters called bullshit on immediately. That being said, here we are giving her the headlining main event spot.
I just want to go ahead and answer the question for the pit that I know is coming. Bellator. It's the fucking Bellator main event, not this one.
Hold on there. Don't get ahead of yourself.
All right, I'm a little fired up after we had to bring up the no-name cocksuckers. Double first name having piece of shits.
Even better. Oh yeah, I should probably get the timer. Huh? So for our first question here, as we like to do around here, we will go with the tried and true co-main event with 3 cards available this weekend, all 3 having very interesting main and co-main events amongst them. Who has the better co-main event of the weekend? RJ, since you missed last week, we're going to make you go first.
You said the main event?
Co-main first.
Co-main?
Yep.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, Andrei Arlovsky. Definitely ain't fucking your ass. And it definitely ain't fucking Cage Warriors. To which leaves fucking Ryan Bader and Corey Anderson, because it's a dead guy that still walks somehow versus an up and comer and 2 people that are trying to get to the limelight of just the big leagues versus a guy who was the big leagues and said, hey, let me go see what I can do in fucking Bellator real quick, being Corey Anderson, versus a fucking murderer of Ryan Bader. You cannot pick it. I would watch that one fight over both of those fucking cards.
Interesting. I can understand that point of view, I suppose. So, Golf Team, that would bring the question to you, sir. Of the 3 cards we've got available this weekend to brag about here, who do you think has the better co-main event?
Oh, with that, out of shadow of a doubt, I agree with RJ on this one. Fucking Ryan Bader and Corey Anderson. There's not a better co-main event to watch this weekend. What's really sad is I'll probably end up watching more of that card than I will of the UFC card, because it just fucking bad. It's just a better card overall, in my own opinion. However, the one point I do want to make, hopefully this is that fight where Andrei Arlovsky hangs it up. And I hope Corey Anderson gets the win here, because you know what? The dude fucking deserves it. He left of his own accord out of the UFC so he could go to Bellator. He wasn't cut. No, he fucking, I want to go. Bye-bye. Fucking walked. They let him out of his contract, and he's made more in 2 fights than he's made in his entire fucking UFC career, per his interview with fucking Ariel Helwani earlier. Just saying, there's something to be said there. Way to go, Corey Anderson. Good luck taking on that roided out cocksucker.
I can definitely see that as well. I do have to say, I do think that is going to be the better of the co-main events, but I will give honorable mention not to Arlovsky, because fuck Andrei Arlovsky. I will give honorable mention to the co-main event from the Cage Warriors card, though, because Max Roshkoff is the guy who is literally out of his 6-1 career most famous for that one, because that one he took voluntarily by choosing not to get up off the stool to go into a round 3 in a fight that he knew he was clearly losing. I don't believe that's a fair shake. He knew he was losing. He told his coaches, I can't do this. And his coaches would not throw the towel in for him. So he, being the one getting his ass handed to him, said, no, I'm not going to take any more of this. I'm not winning. It's not fucking worth it. And he refused to get up off the stool and took the TKO, has gone back, dealt with his bullshit, gotten himself to a better place, and is ready to get back on the fucking horse and take a co-main event spot. So I am curious to see how he comes out. I'm not saying it's going to be a great fight. I'm not saying he's not going to freeze up again and quit on the stool in round 2 this time, but I am curious to see how it plays out. So I will give him an honorable mention point for that.
I mean, but the person he's fighting against is almost a 500 odds fighter. He's 64.
I know. I'm not. As I said, I'm not saying it's going to be a great fight. I'm not saying it's going to be a barn burner by any stretch of the imagination. They're definitely not going to give him the hardest fight he can fucking ask for. They're giving him a fucking plus 500 fucking fighter to come back against. Dude, it's 6-4 for fuck's sake. So you know, I get it, but I'm curious to see how he genuinely comes back, if he can prove, because he fought before he had his UFC shot. That just wasn't his fucking night. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be his pattern going forward and the way that he's going to be remembered, or if he can get over his hiccup that happened early in his career and turn shit around. That being said, dotting the I's and crossing the T's here, I am going to give round 1 to TJ for making a valid point of not only does Bellator have the better main event, but fuck Andrei Arlovsky. That being said, that will bring us into round 2. And as you may have guessed by TJ's overeagerness here, round 2, we tend to go with, of the cards available through the weekend here, who has the better main event. Seeing as how we have been saved one of the answers here by getting it in advance for someone who couldn't wait his turn. RJ, who do you think of these 3 cards this weekend has the better main event?
Bellator, the fucking Nemkov fight, because those guys are literally fucking neck and neck being on the professional level of wins and losses. They're both fucking murderer fucking. It's just gonna be a fucking, just a hell of a fucking fight. It's gonna be a fucking good fight because both of them are fucking savages, and it's just gonna be fucking good. It's just gonna be good. Fucking both of them are fucking solid on their feet. Well, I feel like Julius is a bit better on his feet because damn near every one of his fucking wins has come from KO, TKO finishes. And Nemkov has had a couple ground submission victories. So, I mean, that's going to be very fucking interesting to see how Julius can kind of play around on some ground game, or if he can stay on his feet and fucking throw for the fences and try and fucking put Nemkov down. Because that man's a fucking brick shit house with a gigantic fucking dome that you cannot miss.
Gotcha.
I'll throw an honorable mention onto mine. And it's not the UFC one. It's the JJ Ambrose Spike Carlisle, because you got a former UFC fighter, former ONE FC. I'm just saying that's got some fireworks written on. I mean, Spike Carlisle wasn't a walk in the park in the UFC. He just couldn't seem to get a good roll going.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Like I said, that Cage Warriors card isn't going to be the most exciting card, but there will be some name recognition value that some folks may recognize on that card. The main event being another one of them in the Alpha Ginger Spike Carlisle. He didn't have the greatest run in this UFC, but like you said, they didn't give him the easiest fucking path either. So I get it. And this is him literally trying to work his way back towards the UFC, which is the obvious ultimate goal here in taking on a main event in JJ Ambrose and trying to put on a fucking show. So I agree. Absolute props on the fucking honorable mention here. That I agree completely with that. I's being dotted, T's being crossed on this one. Obviously, points going to go to RJ here. TJ gave us his opinion, but RJ gave us a little bit of facts and more than just the honorable mention, which I do agree with, but we're going to give this one to RJ here. That being said, that'll bring us to round 3. Round 3, we're going to get back to a little bit of the old school tradition. We haven't asked it in a little while. I'm going to bring it back here because we've got 3 cards to talk about here, and that's a lot of fights for the average person to not know a lot about. So, in your opinion, what is the dark horse fight or the most slept on fight of the weekend with 3 big cards and name recognition across all 3 of them here? What is the most slept on or the least hyped fight of the weekend? Golf T, we'll give you this one first.
To be quite honest, I think my most slept on fight, and it's not because of the fight itself, it's because of who's fighting. And I don't think she's getting enough recognition yet. And it's on the UFC's fucking main card, Manon Fiorot. She is a bad motherfucker. She has come in with bad intentions into that flyweight division and is just knocking bitches out. Unfortunately, Mayra Bueno Silva, she's going to be on the wrong end of this one again. That Manon Fiorot, look, I don't know what it is that they're teaching them in France now that MMA is legal, but it's fucking gnarly because she's like a small female fucking Francis Ngannou or Cyril Gane coming out of France, just fucking murdering people. Saying dark horse because I don't think anybody's paying any attention to that, and they really should be because she comes with a fucking just power for such a small little girl.
I agree. I agree. That's getting very, very little attention, and Fiorot is fucking ferocious. But it's going to be an interesting fight. I agree. That being said, RJ, over to you, sir. Of the 3 cards we've got in the plethora of fights to look forward to this weekend, what is the dark horse fight of the weekend in your opinion, sir?
For me, it's the UFC side of things. I have to say the Sanchez Silva fight. Andrew Sanchez might not have the best record, but I mean, he's gone up against a couple title contenders, went the distance, if not like with the Smith, with the Lionheart Smith fight off of judges by like 8 fucking seconds. The guy's got some heart. He's got some fucking talent. And then just Bruno Silva with his fucking debut fight, doing fucking work and putting a clinic on, making it look easy. I mean, I can't put it on anywhere else. At least for my personal opinion, I have to say it's that Sanchez Silva fight.
Honorable mention, not to add to my answer. I want to make this clear and alone. This is not to add to my answer. Do not add to my answer. People need to be paying attention. We got the Miley Cyrus lover himself back in there this weekend as well in Julian the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. So that's just one out there, but you know, he's got a little bit of hype behind his name, so I can't call him a specifically a sleeper, but it's definitely something to watch for.
I agree. That is absolutely a great fight to watch, and I agree. It is absolutely, there's too much hype to call that a dark horse fight because people are paying attention to that as they should be. But that being said, Galti, we'll give you your minute here. Your dark horse fight of the weekend, sir.
I gave you my dark horse fight.
Yeah.
I was telling you not to add that to my answer.
Right. Okay. I thought you were going to redo your answer because of that. My bad.
No. I was not adding that to my answer. It's still the same.
My bad. I
missed
the part. I thought you said to add to my answer. I thought you were going to just redo.
Do not add. Do not.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's just strictly as I thought needed to be mentioned because, you know, it's a worthwhile endeavor.
Gotcha. Okay. So, addition aside, we will give round 3 to Galti here. Understandably, both, I agree, good answers here. I do have to say, moral tisk to both of you, though, for missing the fact that we have a card with Jim fucking Miller
Go
and
ahead.
Nate the Great Landwehr on it, and neither one were mentioned. So I just have to say, points have already been awarded, but there is a moral test for both of you.
Hey, look, I don't have to mention fucking Jim Warthog Miller at all. They're A10. I say Warthog for a different reason. You know what? Fucking look, we all know A10. That's hype enough. That's not a sleeper. So yeah, I can't give him an honorable mention. The reason why I say Julian is an honorable mention, because he still doesn't have the biggest hype train. Jim Miller already has one of those motherfuckers, and it's been running through the station after station after station. And look, we all know Landwehr is our guy on this channel, so why the hell do I have to rehype him again? You don't tisk me for some shit we already knew.
The fact that the UFC has taken the literal opposition point to him in posting 2 different highlight posts of Ludwig Klein and 0 of Nate shows me that they already have an expectation of how this fight comes out. Fuck them for thinking against fucking the Nate train on top of that. But
I mean,
just
also
mention, just a tisk mention.
Also, you can't tisk a tried, battle-tested MMA fighter with the likes of Jim Miller against a debut fighter who also coming out of the same organization that him is Rafa Garcias Jr., which has literally done fucking nothing in the UFC for 3 fights. So being Eric Gonzalez fighting under the same thing, actually lost to Rafa Garcias. I mean, that's not a dark horse at all. This guy's about to get fucking shit wrecked by
that's why it's worth mentioning.
But that's not much of a dark horse thoh, because you see that coming from a mile out.
It's not the point of the question. You're asking dark horses, not who do we know who's going to run through shit. Who do we know whose names that we really like? Come on, you can just discuss at the end of the show for today. Hey, how come nobody brought these guys up when we were talking about exciting stuff? Or what's your most exciting fight you're looking forward to? In case that's your next fucking question, it might have been one of those. You might have just screwed us out of our answers.
All I'm saying is, a wise man once made it known: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, and if you ain't trying, why the fuck are you here? That being said, that'll bring us to round 4 here in the pit. So for round 4, we're taking it back old school again here, and we're going the opposite direction. We know what you gentlemen think is the dark horse fight of the weekend, but what is the opposite? What is the fight that no one will shut the fuck up about, and it doesn't make a 3-titty bog difference? The overhyped fight of the weekend. Belfty, will let you have this one first.
Muted.
I'm going to Bellator for this one because this has gotten way more hype than is fucking necessary for a fighter who is on fucking the 18th green, probably reading his last putt. The Benson Henderson Brent Primus fight. The amount of fucking airtime that they have given Benson Henderson on this is fucking ridiculous, considering where he's at in his career. And I love Benson Henderson for everything he's done for the sport of mixed martial arts, but it was undue necessary attention. I've got one more run at a title. No, you fucking don't, Benson Henderson. Sorry to let you know that. Keep coaching your wife, though, because she has a very good shot at moving towards title contention again, but for the first time, because she's 1-0 right now, if I'm not mistaken. But still, duly overhyped for a guy that's definitely on the fucking green reading his last putt.
Interesting indeed. Interesting indeed. So that brings it over to you, RJ. We know what your dark horse fight is. So what is your overhyped? What is the overblown, too fucking built up for its own good fight of the weekend for you?
I'm quite literally gonna take 4 steps back. Jim Miller versus Eric fucking Gonzalez. Because you made a point to bring it up 35 seconds ago. It's a tried and true battle-tested savage of Jim Miller versus a person who is 14-5, which is a respectable record, a very respectable record. Hats off to you, sir, for a 14-5 record. But the likes that have come out of your area of MMA, whenever they get to the big leagues, they have done absolutely nothing and are let go in 2 years. Prime example, the biggest name out of his fucking organization is Hoffa Garcias Jr. He's done absolutely nothing. His first fight wasn't much for him to do because it was fucking, I can never say his name. Nakparast. Fucking whatever.
Nakparast.
I can never say his name. Yes.
That's all right. That's one of my favorite fighter names ever. So I memorized that right away. Nasrat Nakparast.
I can never say his name. But that was his debut, which that's a tough fucking call. But 2 fights since then has been fucking soup cans, and he can do nothing. Going off of the competition that you're fighting, steel sharpens steel, you're fighting shit 9 times out of 10, you're not that good fucking either, bud.
Interesting. So I will say this. I will give points for round 4 to RJ for the Jim Miller call. But I want it to be known that this is not the first time you have made a bold prediction like that. And if you jinx Jim fucking Miller, I will hereby name the curse after you, and it will so forth be carried until it is broken more than once. I'm just making that known. I'm just making it known.
Please do it. Jim Miller, I love you, but please win now.
I'm saying, I'll give you the point, but you've been warned.
You've been fucking RJ'd, man.
We thought Bruce Buffer was bad. Now we know what the real fucking problem's been lying the whole time.
You went that way with that, RJ. I wanted to, but I was like, no. We've already had our soapbox moment. We'll let somebody else take it. Have at it, RJ.
I had to. It was brought up on the show as an honorable mention when it really wasn't much of an honorable mention. I had to do it.
All right. So
thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I will take that point for the team. No problem. Solidarity, man.
With that point being issued, that would obviously mean we are now all tied up and have no choice but to go to the 5th question, sudden death round, winner take all question here. The big muy importante of the evening here. And ironically, Golf T actually almost stumbled straight into it here. So the big question for round 5 here, Benson and his wife, Maria Henderson, are both fighting on the Bellator card this weekend. I cannot think of a single time in recent history where we have had a husband and wife compete on the same card and both win. Are the Hensons the ones to break the streak? Since we don't have a recurring champion this week because I'm judging again, we will flip a timer here. Call it in the air, TJ.
Timer up.
Timer up. All right. So you have the prerogative, sir.
Not a fucking chance in hell that both of them win. Not a fucking chance. Hey, here's the kicker on this. You know who wins their fight? Their name doesn't start with a B. And also, I also want to make sure, duly noted, that there's going to be no Hensons winning on this card at all because there's no Hensons on the cards. But there are Hendersons. So just as a little quip there for you, you can take that soundbite wherever you want it. But yeah, I think Benson's wife gets it done, but Benson does not. The overhype that he's got and thinking that he's going to win another title, I think he gets put out by Brent Primus. His wife, on the other hand, she can definitely get it done. She's fighting a girl with an 0-1 record. So they're both pretty much on the same spot of first win, first loss. We'll see what happens there. But I think Benson's wife has a better chance of getting it done than he does, even though her striking looks fucking miserable from everything that I've seen, which is ironic considering who your husband is and some of the wild strikes we've seen out of him.
Right. No shit. I think it's going to be very interesting as well. So that brings us over to you, RJ. Do you think the Hendersons are the ones to break the husband-wife curse of the UFC streak of UFC, Bellator? We saw 1-1 FC. Pretty sure
MMA in general.
Yeah, it's been bad. So are they the ones to break the streak? What do you think?
Absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. Benson Henderson hasn't done shit in years. His misses 1-0, solid first win, going against somebody that's 0-2. I have no clue how that woman even remotely got a contract for Bellator, being an 0-2 as a professional. I have no fucking clue. I hope you were undefeated as a fucking amateur and pro-am on the pro-am scene, because I don't know how the fuck you got 0-2 and a contract to fight for Bellator. Blows my fucking mind how that works. Maria Henderson, absolutely. I think she can get it done without a fucking doubt. She can get it done. Benson Henderson, absolutely fucking not. Hang it up. You have too many fucking road miles. Your jaw is severely compromised, and it's just the new breed of fighter is just coming in and taking over and fucking wrecking shop. Benson and Andre both need to hang them up after this weekend. Win, lose, or draw, because there ain't going to be a fucking win. There damn sure ain't going to be a fucking draw with two fucking big heavy hitters that they're fighting. Absolutely not.
Absolutely agree. As cool as it would be to see, it probably would have been cooler about 10 fucking years ago, when there was actually a chance that Benson could win reliably on a weekend where you put someone that he knows on the card with him, let alone his significant other. I don't think they stand a fucking chance of breaking the curse this weekend. That being said, props for being willing to take that challenge on, because that literally is a whole extra set of pressure and responsibility that gets looped onto you that no one else on that card has. So props for taking that responsibility on and taking that chance. That being said, I don't think there's a fucking wing and a prayer that they're actually going to both win this weekend. I agree with both you guys. I think she is way more likely to win than he is. With that being said, we are going to give the point for round 5 and the win to Golf T Vapes here. And I will say this, there is a very singular and definitive reason that I made this, and it was a tough decision because of
Jim Miller.
No, because the fuck Arlovsky comment at the end almost won it back for you. But TJ did something that 99.98% of MMA journalists outside of this fucking show don't understand how to do, and that's say the words Brent Primus. He himself has said it multiple times, and for some fucking reason that breaks my brain to painful levels, everyone still calls him Brent Primus.
Didn't he also say his last name for commentators?
Yes. He has said it specifically. My name is Brent Primus. And they still, all of them,
you idiots.
Yes, all of them still call him Brent Primus for some reason, and it makes my brain hurt. I don't fucking get it.
I think I know why that is, though. I think that's because they're afraid of Wynonna's Big Brown Beaver.
Hey, how do you spell his name? Is it P-R-E? Oh, no, it's P-R-I.
Right, Primus. So if you went phonetically, that would be Primus.
Like Optimus Prime. Just take the E out and put us in it.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, isn't it? Crazy.
No,
would be R-E.
Look, I want to call this a fucking draw if that's the case, because you can't give it to me for that. I think RJ, if anything, fucking earned this just by coming back at you with the Jim Miller. I left the door wide fucking open for him. This should have been a nut shot straight to you, falling out of your chair, handing him the title, going, here, please take it.
Okay, we'll read that. Words live, see?
We'll
redact that. We can redact that and call that a draw, but we'll call that a draw. That's fine. Because the Brent Primus factor, it genuinely bothers me way more than it fucking should. And I understand that, and I'm willing to acknowledge that. But the fact that he himself has publicly said, my name is Brent Primus, and literally every fucking journalist outside of this show calls him Brent Primus. Short circuit. Like I can't even. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode of the show. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Whether you were here with us live, we appreciate you guys just the same, or you are catching us on the replay, be it in video or audio form, however you choose to consume this, we thank you. But before we get out of here, if folks need just a little bit more of that new guy routine in their life, how can they get a hold of you after the show, RJ?
You can always get a hold of me over there at Instagram at RJMMAofficial. Our good old Discord, which is scrolling at the bottom of this lovely broadcast the entire fucking time it's been up, down in the link in description. It's also over at anchor.fm if you want to go see, click the link for that. You can go over and hit me up, PJ or Meter, and anybody else that's in our lovely little Discord page. You can also go over there and see news and recent events that aren't brought up during this show. Our fan Q&A segment. Drop questions over there. You can go over there and just ask a question in general to this broadcast, or to an individual in particular. Over there at our I'm No Joe Facebook page, you can hit any of us up over there. We will all see it. The I'm No Joe Instagram, we will all see that sort of stuff. Comments here directly on our YouTube channel at YouTube/I'm No Joe. You can just YouTube search bar, I'm No Joe. Do all that stuff over there. You can find this lovely podcast on all of those social medias. Anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. If you like a little bit of fisting, you can go over there to our OnlyFans/I'm No Joe. And for Meter, I'm just gonna fill it out here. We're at patreon.com/I'm No Joe. You can see the unaired and unairable shenanigans that's happened here on this show. And I think that's about it. Oh, speaking of our fan Q&A segment, my lovely missus has dropped a fan Q&A segment question, which is, who is all of our favorite fighters? She did that like 2 weeks ago. I wasn't here last week to bring it up.
You're gonna wait. You're gonna wait and bring it up when you were here.
I know.
We'll open the show with that next week.
Next week? Okay, solid. Solid.
Next week. That way we all got a chance to think on it.
Think about it.
Now that we finally got some submissions going. That being said, temporary pause on the OnlyFans. Apparently, they have no problems with you showing your titties for money, but if you want to talk about a fight, they don't like it for some fucking reason. We are currently being reviewed by the compliance board because they are afraid that our content is too sensitive for people who are paying for titties.
Free, damn it.
That being said, if someone needs to know the best place to get themselves some fried cheese curds and maybe directions on how to find one Kenosha crippler up there, how can they get a hold of you after the show, Belty?
Of course, you guys know Wednesday nights, 9:30 Central Times right here on the YouTubes. Every fucking Thursday that I can possibly be here. Now, with us being under the review board over there, I did a quick check earlier this week. Just putting this out here. We don't have a subreddit, and there's no subreddit called I'm No Joe.
Oh, shit.
Just saying that might be another good spot. I don't frequent Reddit too often, but you know what? That's one of the social media platforms that I do like to go to, just because there's a lot more shit in there to get into and cause fuckery than there is on other platforms.
Quite literally opening my phone right now is on Reddit.
I'm just saying.
That's true. We
might want to look into. But yeah,
definitely.
Wednesdays, Thursdays, though, for sure you'll see me here. I'll even give you fucking directions, or I'll even lay down the strap and say, hey, it at least needs to be a draw when somebody else obviously fucking outdoes it. I'm just saying.
Well, that being said, thank you for your time, sir. Always appreciated. With that, folks, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So we appreciate you tuning in, however it is that you tune in. If you enjoy what we do, whatever platform you are on, give us some sort of a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed on said platform and turn on your notifications so you don't miss an episode of this lovely little show. On the contrary, though, if you don't enjoy what we do around here, first off, why the fuck are you still listening and or watching at this point? That being said, just give us the fucking thumbs down and move on. We obviously earned it. We're not going to fucking argue about it. So let's just move on. That being said, that's all we got for this particular episode. So until next time, folks, remember, you can root for whatever you want. Don't let ignorance stop you. Something like that. Words live. It's hard sometimes.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what